Good afternoon. My name is Kimberly Blackrington. I am the director here at the Ignite Hub at Montgomery College. Welcome to the Ignite Hub for our guests that we have here in the classroom, and welcome to our online guests who are joining us. I'm going to just make some brief remarks, but this is a special event that we've been talking about for a while, and it's about the pre-election. It's Let's Talk, which is part of the Office of Equity and Inclusion's initiative that they have, and we'll hear a little bit more about that. But the hub is absolutely the place where these conversations should be happening, and that our community leaders wanted this space to belong to the community and having these kind of dialogues and conversations. So today's topic, of course, is about the election and getting ready for that. We're days away now. Early voting has already started, so we have engaged, starting to engage in the voting process as we speak. So I just would like to, I hope that this is a program that you find useful, and as a way to take care of yourself for the next few days and for however long that you need to take that time and take care of ourselves as we go forward in this new space and time together. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Antonio Maldonado.
Thank you, Kimberly. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Antonio Montano, and I am the Equity and Inclusion Program Manager here at the college. I want to second Kimberly's welcome and say welcome everyone to the Office of Equity and Inclusion's Let's Talk event for fall 2024, which is focused on the pre-election space that we are in right now. The election is literally a week from today. And so we are 7 days out, and hopefully we'll be 7 days in no time. But with that, let me give you a little bit of history of our Let's Talk series. So typically these series are designed to be pop-up events that happen in response to societal issues and things that happen. However, we wanted to be a little bit more intentional this year with regards to how we program and what we focus on. And knowing that this election cycle is one that is stirring up anxiety for people, me included, we wanted to provide a space where we offer the college community a space to engage in meaningful dialogue about its potential impact. And so we know that many people have different views and we don't all think the same, but we all need to take care of each other and ourselves first so that we can continue on doing what we do every single day. But with that, we wanted to create a space to where we can have discussions and breakout sessions today that will allow you all the opportunity to share your thoughts, your concerns, and your feelings around this election, right? So I just gave you one of mine. I have a list of them, but I gave you one of my feelings, which is anxiety. So, you know, that may resonate with you or it may not, but you have your own feelings around this, this time as well. Additionally, the program should, or we hope it will help you all draft your own personal self-care plan. And so for those in the room, we have brochures that we passed out with resources as well as an action plan that you can use, and it's really a template. So if you need to add something to it, please feel free to do so. We will share that with you all via email and online as well. We will put the same questions in the chat, I believe, for you all to access and discuss as well. But at the end of the day, this event aims to foster understanding and resilience during this time. With that said, I'll run down a quick, how the agenda is going to go today, just so you all get a sense of what's happening. So obviously, Kimberly and I just did a welcome. But after me, Dr. Samuel Mulkey will come up and present on the election process and voting. And then we will follow that with our wellness coordinator here at the college, Megan Cooperman. She will talk about wellness and how to take care of ourselves. And then that will fold into the breakout session where we then will send you into breakout rooms and us here in the room will sit and discuss the action plan that we have for you. And you can fill it out for yourselves. You don't need to share, but we hope that you have dialogue with each other to kind of help each other work through how to formulate your plan. And then from there, we'll come back and we'll ask if you all want to share something. And then we'll do a few closing remarks with regards to a debrief, a call to action, and then closing the event. All right, so with that said, let me introduce Dr. Samuel Mulkey. I will read his bio. Dr. Mulkey earned his PhD in political science with a minor in public administration in 2002 from Howard University in Washington, D.C. He has taught courses at both the undergraduate and graduate levels at several universities within the Washington metro area for over 20 years. His academic experience is complemented with over 7 years of senior management experience as the Associate Director for the Environmental and Sustainability Services Division with Prince George's County Government from 2006 to 2013. Between 2015 to present, Dr. Mulkey has served as the public board member for promotional evaluations at the United States Department of State, Department of Commerce, and Department of Agriculture. He currently serves as the commissioner in the Governor's Commission for African Affairs in the state of Maryland, and also as a commissioner for the state's attorney's multicultural commission in Prince George's County, Maryland. Dr. Mulkey has authored several books, book chapters, and peer-reviewed articles. He is the COO and co-owner of Bethel Assisted Living Homes in Prince George's County, Maryland. Please welcome Dr. Mulkey.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Mulkey. I am an adjunct faculty here at Montgomery College, teaching political science and history, specifically African American history. My task today is to present on the voting process, i.e. voting and registering to vote. So I will ask, let's begin with voting. Next slide, please. So voting is an act of casting a ballot for or against an individual or individuals, or for or against an issue or issues. Voting is a constitutional right. Why do you vote? It is a constitutional right. It is protected in the Constitution. It is your civic duty. It is also an accountability tool that you have. Voting is also part of you expressing your ownership of the American democracy. Now, if you look at the Constitution, which I have in my pocket here, it says, we own this Constitution. We own this democracy. And so just think of yourself as a business owner. You own a business, you hire a few people to run your business. You have to supervise them. You have to make sure that they are doing what you ask them to do. It's the same thing like voting. We, in a representative democracy, we elect a few individuals to represent our interests because all of us cannot govern. And so it is only proper from time to time for us to use our voting to hold these individuals accountable. And sometimes you're going to say, but I'm not so much into politics. Well, politics is into you because everything that we do is political. This building that we are here is due to government zoning and codes. When you are driving on the street, the 25 mile per hour speed limit that you observe, it's politics. When the air that you breathe is regulated by politics. The food that we eat, the Federal Drug Administration, regulated by politics. The drugs that we take is politics. Every single thing that we do revolves around the political realm. It is incumbent for us to hold our elected officials accountable. It is our power. It is our voice. It is our civic duty. And so voting is important because by voting, we let the elected officials know what our interests are. We hold them accountable. And if we agree with what they are doing, we can re-elect them. But if we don't, it is within our powers to vote them out of office. So voting is extremely important. But then you cannot just get up and say, next slide, and say, okay, I'm going to vote. No. There are certain requirements that you have to meet. You have to, first of all, be an American citizen. You have to be at least 18 years of age. But you can register at 16 years, you can register to vote. But in order to actually cast a ballot, you have to be at least 18 years of age. You also have to meet residency requirements. In some states, they would say you have to be in that state for at least 30 days. In Maryland, you just have to show proof of residency. Okay? Who cannot register to vote? Not everybody is eligible to register to vote. If you are convicted of buying or selling votes, you cannot vote. If you are serving a prison sentence for a felony, you are not eligible to vote. If you are under guardianship for mental disability, or the court proves that you don't have the mental capacity to understand that you have to cast a vote, then you will not be eligible to vote. But if you meet these requirements, then you are eligible to vote. Next slide, please. Now, where do you vote? Especially in the state of Maryland, there are wide arrays of opportunities to register to vote. You can do that online, and the link is there. You can do it at your local board of elections. You can also do it at the state board of elections. In addition, you can also do it at your local health department office or the Maryland Department of Human Services. Okay, next slide. Still many other places, and I don't think that's the next slide. There you go. There you go. Additional in-person registration. You can also register in a motor vehicle by simply, if, for example, you're applying for your driver's license, even if you're 16, they always ask you a question, do you want us to register you to vote? So you can do that at the Department of Motor Vehicle. You can also do that at your local agency on aging. You can do that at MTA, paratransit. There are just so many areas that you can register to vote. So that cannot be an excuse why you don't register to vote, because they make it easy. You can stay in your house and vote online, and register online, or you have all this array of places that you can also register to vote. Next slide. Registration deadlines. You can register by mail also. You can postmark 21 days before the election for you to be registered to vote. But then in Maryland, it's even made easier, because you can register to vote during early voting, like what's ongoing now in Maryland. It's even easier because you can register on the same day and vote. Okay? So they're making it really easy for you to vote. And knowing the stakes that you have in this democracy, there should really be no excuse why you don't participate in voting. Next slide, please. Ways that you can vote. Again, especially in Maryland, it is so simplified. It is made easy, actually. I say voting made easy. You can vote in person. You can vote by mail. You can vote on the regular voting day, which is November the 5th here, or you can do early voting, which is, it started last week, Thursday, and it's going to end this coming Thursday. So from the 24th of October to the 31st of October. So you see, voting has really been made easy because it gives you a wide array of options in order to vote. Next slide. That's it. So I had 5 to 7 minutes, so I was trying to keep within that time frame. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Mulkey. All right, next, joining us via Zoom, we have Dr. Gilberto Zelaya. Dr. Zelaya, known to Montgomery County residents as Dr. Z, is the Community Empowerment Public Information Officer between Montgomery County Board of Elections. He is responsible for coordinating community relations and outreach with an emphasis on compliance with Montgomery County's Spanish language requirements under Section 203 of the Voting Rights Act. Prior to joining Montgomery County government, Dr. Z served as the Epidemiological Program Officer at the Self-Reliance Foundation, developing and implementing mobilization efforts throughout Africa, Latin, and North America. He currently resides in Clarksburg, Maryland, with his wife, Karen, of 20 years, and sons, Sebastian and Julian. Please welcome Dr. Zelaya.
Good afternoon, everyone. So yes, first and foremost, thank you so much for affording me the opportunity to engage you all. Obviously, I do apologize for not being present. It's a little bit busy. It's the 5th day of early voting, so I'm kind of tied up. But nonetheless, I do appreciate the opportunity to leverage the Ignite Hub's opportunity to link virtually. Obviously, after the 2020 COVID experiment that occurred globally, these tools are being leveraged to facilitate access to information. High level, we're in the thick of it with early voting. Early voting will continue, obviously, today through Thursday, October 31st, which is Halloween. So if you're planning to trick or treat or you're planning to give candy, by all means, the 14 early voting centers are available until 8 p.m. We started with early voting on this past Thursday, October 24th. If you need to ascertain or identify the nearest early voting center, and I'm going to put this in the chat, you could text the letters EV plus a zip code to 77788. I invite you, which is kind of weird, to grab your cell phones and try this out. Make sure that there is a space after the letter V and before the first digit of your zip code, which should be a number 2. I'll put an example here on our chat. So you could test it out. It will give you the nearest early voting location, driving directions, and most importantly, wait times. So if you're in, let's say, downtown Silver Spring, let's say you're at the Tacoma Park Silver Spring campus, you're heading home and you live off of Colesville, you text your zip code plus EV to that number, 77788, and it will give you most likely the 3 locations, which are the Maryland Praisner Community Center, the White Oak Community Center, and the Silver Spring Civic Building. Obviously, if there's a 20-minute wait time at Silver Spring, there's a 5-minute wait time at White Oak, and there's a 15-minute wait time at Praisner, including drive time, then just pick the location where that has the least amount of wait time. But prior to the onset of early voting, we do have live mail-in ballots circulating. As of yesterday, we have almost 190,000 registered Montgomery County voters requesting to vote by mail. Out of those 190,000, we have about over 90,000 mail-in ballots returned to the office. So we have about a 100,000 voters holding on tightly to their mail-in ballots. Please vote your ballot, circle the corresponding circles, sign the voter oath, and return that mail-in ballot to one of our 58 ballot drop boxes. In 2020 and 2022, Montgomery County had 55 drop boxes. Montgomery County, through their advocacy, we successfully added 3 additional boxes, which is one in each of the 3 Montgomery College campuses in Rockville, Germantown, and at Tacoma Park, Silver Spring. We have daily pickup. We at random select bipartisan teams, Dropbox attendants, and then randomly we will select who will be driving and who will be the passenger. And also we randomly assign them a route to pick up daily, including Sunday, on 2 different occasions, the morning and afternoon, to retrieve those mail-in ballots. You could also leverage the post office. There's over 800 post office collection bins, whether it's an apartment complex, on the corner of your neighborhood, etc. And to identify the nearest drop box, the nearest ballot drop box, and I'll put this in the chat, you could text the word box plus a zip code to the same number, 77788, and make sure that there's a space between after the X and before the number 2 of the corresponding zip code. I'll just put an example on the chat box and a zip code to 77788. I encourage you to do that as well right now, so you have that on your phone, and it will give you the nearest drop box and post office locators. Today is the deadline to request a mail-in ballot, the packets to vote by mail. If you need to request a mail-in ballot, you could text the letters VBM to the same number, 77788. You will submit a request. Full disclosure, we are not Amazon, so this process is not instantaneous. Once you submit your mail-in ballot request, the staff will they'll ensure that you are a registered voter. If so, then we will submit the request through the State Board of Elections. The State Board of Elections will work with the vendor to create those packets. So then they will mail your corresponding ballot style, which is based according to your residential address. All of this information we're talking about was mailed to every single registered voter and their corresponding sample ballot. Sample ballot is bilingual in English and Spanish. On the back cover of your sample ballot is the location where we would like for you to vote if you decide to vote in person on Election Day, Tuesday, November 5th. But if you're voting by mail, please return that ballot as soon as possible. Sign the voter oath and do your due diligence so we can start canvassing those mail-in ballots. Now, regarding early voting, we have a couple more days of early voting. We have 14 locations. As a registered voter, you are not tied to the nearest early voting center. If you're visiting, say you're taking classes at Montgomery College Tacoma Park, but you live in Germantown, you could vote at downtown Silver Spring. You don't have to rush to the Germantown Rec Center to vote early. Early voting is available until Halloween Day, Thursday, October 31st. The early voting centers open daily from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So if you jump in line at 7:59 with 59 seconds, you will be afforded the opportunity to vote. If you miss the voter registration deadline of Tuesday, October 15th, you can still leverage what is called same-day voter registration. Bring a Maryland ID or bring your Maryland driver's license, or bring your Maryland learner's permit. Now, if you don't have the 3 forms of current valid state ID, you could bring a bank statement, utility bill, other governmental document, your apartment lease, etc., that has your name and Montgomery County address. That document cannot be older, or has to be within the last 90 days. You will go through the process. If for some reason we cannot verify your information, you will vote a provisional ballot, but then the staff will do our due diligence to verify who you are, to accept your submitted provisional ballot. And if for whatever reason we cannot identify you, then you will be ready for the 2026 election, because the provisional ballot application doubles as a voter registration application. And then lastly, if you're not voting by mail and you're not voting early, you're a purist, you believe that voting should take place on Tuesday, November 5th, you're more than welcome to leverage your constitutional right. You can identify your election day polling place on the back cover of your sample ballot, or you could text the word check. Text the word check to 77788. You could also track the status of your sample ballot, of your mail-in ballot or your provisional ballot that was submitted in person during early voting or on election day. You could also download your corresponding sample ballots, and you could ascertain where you should present yourself on election day. But nonetheless, Montgomery County has, just like across the country, dismal, horrible traffic. So if you're running late and you can't make it to your election day polling place by 8 p.m. to incorporate yourself in the line, then find the nearest polling place and you will vote provisionally. And if you really think of the franchise, keep in mind, hundreds of years ago, only white male landowners had the right to vote. And in addition, they weren't going across the street to an inn or to a church to vote, or a school. They needed to walk to Annapolis. So now we talk about early voting. We have live ballots available 45 days before election day. We have 8 consecutive days from the 24th through the 31st of October, including the weekends, at 14 early voting locations in Montgomery County. We have 58 ballot drop boxes, which were expanded from 55 drop boxes from the 2020 and 2022 elections to 58. And then lastly, you have election day to leverage your constitutional right. So make a vote plan, flex your right to vote. Do not leverage on excuses, because the franchise is available and it's accessible, but the desire to vote falls on you, not on us as the Board of Elections. But the polling places will be open, available to serve at 7 a.m. on election day, all the way through 8 p.m. or during early voting at our 14 centers from 7 to 8, all the way today through the 31st of October.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Zelaya.
My pleasure.
Oh, we have a question for you. We have a question in the room.
Okay.
Hello, Dr. Zelaya. Thank you so much for being here. If we had registered for an absentee ballot, but no longer want to use that ballot and want to do early voting, can we do that?
Yes, you can still vote during early voting. However, you will need to vote a provisional ballot. The intention was initiated by the voter wanting to vote by mail. We understand that life gets in the way, whether you canceled your trip to the Bahamas or you're in town. Nonetheless, you will need to vote your mail-in ballots, submit it through the Dropbox, post office, or in person. If you want to submit your mail-in ballot at a polling place or early voting center, I have my little show and tell here. We have a yellow bag where you would submit your voted mail-in ballot. But if you want to vote in person, you will need to vote a provisional ballot, even if you bring your unvoted ballot to a local early voting center or on election day. So follow through with your intention to vote by mail. Otherwise, you will need to vote provisionally.
Thank you, Dr. Z. Anyone else? No questions in the chat either? All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Z. I was about to say Dr. Zelaya again. Dr. Z, for your time and sharing your information and your expertise. We greatly appreciate it. And get out to vote, people. Get out to vote. You know, they say, I'll inject my quote that I was going to leave for earlier, but they say, veto and vote have the same letters. Do not veto your vote by not voting. Get out and vote. Go, go. Right, so, all right. So next up, thank you again, Dr. Z. Are you going to stick around?
I'll stick around. I'll be doing work. So if there's any questions, I'll
Okay.
be hanging around.
All right, thank you so much. Next, I want to introduce Megan Cooperman. Megan is the Employee Wellness Specialist here at Montgomery College. With in the fitness and wellness industry, she has worked as a mind-body instructor, personal trainer, and director of wellness programming before taking her current role here at MC. Megan has 2 master's degrees, and she has a lot of stuff that she's done. And she told me to just say she's done a lot of stuff. So without further ado, Megan Cooperman.
Thank you so much. First, I want to give a huge thank you to the Office of Equity and Inclusion, as well as the Ignite Hub for hosting this, because this is a rough time for a lot of us, myself included. And we often don't talk about it, and we sit in our little areas of the world or areas at work or at school thinking that we're alone in this journey, but the stress that we are feeling potentially related to this election is real, and we are not alone. And oftentimes when life gets busy, wellness walks out the door, right? Because everything else takes precedent and we have to get things done. But this is really a time period now for all of us to not do that. It is a priority, especially if you're feeling stressed or anxious from this election. A recent Harvard poll said that 50% of people are feeling anxious from this election. I am sure that number has gone up because I'm sure since then we are getting closer and feelings and emotions are heightening, or thoughts, or you're seeing stuff. And so really what it comes down to is how you as an individual react to change and stress. This is a huge change potentially in some way for us. And change comes at us all the time. The one constant we know about is change. It's constant, it's happening. So knowing and understanding your reaction to that in your life is very helpful. If you are either someone that you take it well, maybe innately you're like, I got this, I'm good, or maybe you just are and change isn't your thing. And I can tell you over the years, although I have helped people and worked on myself many ways, I still hate change. It's tough. And there's all different type of change. But if you look at our dogs on these screens here, think about yourself, right? Where do you lie? And many times I've shared this with people and people say, I go back and forth, and that absolutely makes sense. So where do you lie right now with this election process, right? I can tell you many a days, my face looks like the dog, all down with the tongue hanging out. It's been a rough one these past few weeks, and it's not getting easier for most of us as we get closer to election day. I will tell you, I voted this morning. I did early election, so it was easy. Woo-hoo! I lost my sticker, so I'm a little sad. But I want to let you know it was so easy. And one thing I did do is I thanked the poll workers, because maybe I'm wrong, but I did hear from somebody who I know is volunteering as a poll worker that they were still needing people. And I thanked them all. And I did that because I was very thankful for their work that they're doing and the service they're giving. But when you give gratitude to others, you help your own well-being. So you better believe that not only do I try to live my life that way, and I encourage you too, but right now I'm giving so much gratitude to others because I need the help to get through this. So let's go to the next slide. All right, so just a reminder to you, as much as you might want to say, okay, I'm going to get through this, I'm just going to push it to the side. We know when it comes to mental health and stress and challenges we go through, if we resist it, it's going to stick around and linger, and it's going to haunt us in some way. So take care of it. Manage it in some way for you, even if it's a teeny thing. And we're going to work on that self-care plan in a hot second. So let's go to that next slide. So just a general reminder, it is okay to not feel okay. You are not alone. Step one, right? You are not alone in this. You did not bring this on. If you are feeling stressed from this election or anxious, there's nothing wrong with you. Because someone else is not feeling stressed, that really has nothing to do with it. You are normal for how you're feeling. This is a very divisive time. This is a tough election for many of us. So you are not alone. You have control on the choices you make, how you're going to respond to that stress, what you're going to watch, what you're going to do. We'll talk about that in a quick second. And you can build up what I like to call your force field. That is your foundation. Because yes, there are things that we do that are going to help us get through it physically, mentally, and emotionally. And we'll do a very quick review after. In a second, hot second, I meant to say. All right, that's like my word for the day. All right, so there is nothing wrong with asking for help. And if you are needing help, and we'll talk about this again in a hot second. See, I said that was the word of the day. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. Getting help is actually a phenomenal thing. You don't have to do it alone. Let's go to the next slide. All right, so just a reminder to you, if you have not been aware of what your early warning signs are for stress, here are some list of common things that happen physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, and cognitive when you may be feeling stress. Your list might look different. There might be things not on here. But when you start to notice these things happening, when dealing with stress or presently when facing what's going on with this election, that is your warning sign to stop, to pay attention to it, to even thank it. Thank you, shoulders that are tight. I recognize that this is causing me some stress and I need to take care of myself. So when that happens, I want you to stop and I want you to thank it for giving you that sign that you need to take care of you. Next slide, please. And I want you to pause and take a breath. We often go throughout our days without breathing well. So this is even your moment right now. Just take a breath. Good 6 counts in if you can and 6 counts out. That's really what they recommend. If you want 4, if you want 10, it's all good. We all have different lung capacities. And then I want you to step back and evaluate what you're going to do to take care of yourself because that warning sign told you you need to. Next slide. So your force field. These are the things that are going to help you get through this. These are your foundations. We know that more people are exercising now to help their mental well-being. If you know this election is causing stress for you, this would be the time you need to move. You need to set a schedule. You need to work with a coworker, a friend, anybody, a family member, and make a plan to move together. Don't let it slide. Not these next 10 days, 8 days, 12 days, whatever it may be, you need to do it. And if it's working out for you, keep doing it. Don't stop it, right? We are what we eat. Well, a lot of people like to think they can go work out or work off a bad diet. A huge percentage of your body makeup and how you're doing mentally, physically, emotionally is going to be based on the food that you eat. So think about reflect on the foods you are eating. There are foods that are going to help you fight this stress coming at you. It's not going to take it away, but it's going to help. Sleep, huge. I'm sure you've been in that space before where you haven't had enough sleep. It's harder to regulate. We don't have enough sleep. This is going to feel worse if you're not getting enough sleep. So do what you need to do. As a reminder, there are mental health support services. There are election support services. If you need to talk to someone, in this brochure, you're going to get either you have it here in person or you're going to get it mailed to you. There are actual websites and phone numbers that you can text or call to get help. And many of them are immediate. I actually tested it. So there is one for the election crisis text line for support. If you type election, all caps, election, in your phone, text it, I should say, to 741-741, you are going to get immediate help. I have tried it. It works. Someone will be there to talk to you. Save that. Use it for yourself, friends, family, whoever you know may need it. If you have access to a mental health provider already, schedule appointments now. Don't wait till election day. They are not going to have the time. They're going to be very busy, I'm sure of it. Schedule your appointments now. Utilize the Student Health and Wellness Center or encourage other people or students to do that. And if you are an employee, utilize your Faculty Staff Assistance Program, EAPs, if you're not from Montgomery College. Schedule the appointments now. Don't wait till the last minute. And even if you're kind of on the fence, just do it now. I do like to remind people about this little tool I use. It's called I over E. And that I over E is your intelligence over your emotion. I use it often when I'm having days that my emotions are taking over. Wherever I am, but especially during this election time, I need to stop myself and say, I over E, relax my emotions because they're big for me, and think about what is real. What are the facts I know? We all have the right to vote, per Dr. Moki. This is our Constitution, we the people, and I will remember that. Live your values and stick by them these next few days because it's going to help you get through. If you need help, Please utilize. And if you have communities, utilize them, rely on them. Church, whoever you go to for support and guidance, find those non-judgmental places. And then also find that person in your life that's going to say, you're not taking care of you. We all have somebody. And if you need someone, reach out, find someone through the Student Health and Wellness Center, and let us and others help you know you're not taking care of you. Step back and take a breath. Next slide. All right. This is the one that I know I need to remind myself all the time because there is something that they call doomsday scrolling. Our cell phones, TikTok, social media, they are meant to hook us in with the dopamine effect and they keep us going and going. And if you're anything like me and you get into that doomsday scrolling to the point that you know you are not well, don't use it. Get off it this time period. I am limiting my time on purpose because I am not doing well with all of this. Shut it down. The media, the news, wherever you are, guide and guard your attention. Guide and guard your attention. On to the next. And then whatever your uplifts are, which are the things that help you feel good, recharge you, make you feel optimistic, write your list and use it as we do this self-care plan that we're going to do very soon. Think about what are the things that uplift you. Now is the time to do them. Now is the time to schedule that with your friends, your family, whomever, whatever it is. Make a plan for the next few days and do it. All right, next one. I think we're good. All right. But really, you need to focus on what you can control. There are going to be things out of our control during this election. We're going to see things that are out of our control. Focus on really what you can control, that I over E, that intelligence over the emotion, and let them help you feel empowered and productive, whatever that may be, and give gratitude towards others. Schedule time to do service to others. It will help you feel control in this situation. Any questions? Are we good? Are we good? All right. Excellent. All right. So we are going to transition to this self-care plan. And for those of you on Zoom, do not worry if you don't have the document yet. You will get it shortly. And please print it, save it. It has a lot of great resources and tools. Thank you to Antonio for putting this together. There are 5 questions in that document, and we're going to give you the opportunity in groups. In person, we will do that here. We will put you into groups on Zoom where you can look at these questions, which are going to be in the chat for our friends on Zoom. And you'll be able to look at them and maybe answer all of them if you have time. And if you don't worry, you can work on it later. But often just putting pen to paper helps us start to make that commitment to take care of ourselves. And if you'd like to talk with those in your group about one of them or 2 or all of them, please do. This is your opportunity to really know how you're going to take care of yourself and what you're going to do in these next few days. Any questions? All right, let's do it. Self-care plan, straight ahead. Make it happen.
All right, can you hear me? All righty. Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope your conversations in your breakout groups and here in the room were fruitful. Hopefully, you were able to have good discussions that lent to different ideas, different ways of thinking of things, or things that you already knew, were reassured, and you got support within your groups, and were able to hi, and were able to start to craft your self-care plan. Um, it's something, as Megan said, you don't have to complete it today, but it gives you a good start. And I think with regards to the time, we're not going to go through the processing piece of it, but I want to encourage you all to continue to have the conversations. If you want to take this action plan home and work on it with your family and your friends, I think that is a great idea as well, so that you all can start to create a community of care for yourselves based on the action plan that you created today. And with that, I'm going to bring up Megan again, so she can kind of bring the wellness piece back together as we close out the event.
All right, so just as we close this out, first off, we encourage you to continue the dialogues with your friends, your family, your coworkers as you need. But I think to sort of remind yourself that I over E and take heart in the good that is real, right? Really recognize the things that bring you back to your center and core. And while this is a really, really potentially difficult election for many of us, to remember we've been through elections that were difficult. We somehow came out with some love and lifting each other up in some ways as we got through that. So to remember that and remember what is real and good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to close us out. Thank you to everyone for making time today to be in community, to dialogue, to talk, and be able to be in conversation about how are we feeling? What are you thinking is going to happen in the next few days, and how we, as Antonio said, have that community of care. And thank you, Dr. Moki. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you. I'm not sure if Dr. Zelaya is still here, but thank you for jumping on, as you say, a very busy time. So I really appreciate that. Oh, there he is. Hey. Dr. Zelaya has been here before, also talking about the election as well. So again, I'm so glad that you could come. Thank you again, Antonio, for creating this brochure, the pamphlet for us. It's something that we can all take with us as well. So with that, I always close with, we have a survey that we'd like for you to fill out. This is a pop-up event, right? So that's what's really special about the Ignite Hub, is that we can be agile and flexible to what's happening in the world and in our community, and create spaces to be able to do that. So I'd be so grateful if you could fill that out. Let us know. Did you like this? Would you like more pop-up events? We do share the results with our guest speakers as well, so that they know what kind of impact that they had today. So while you're doing that, I have special gifts and tokens of appreciation for our guest speakers. So Dr. Moki, here is a Ignite Hub swag bag for you. Megan, thank you. Antonio, here's one for you. I'll come over on this side. There you go. And also Kimberly Jones is here as well. So we have executive leadership in the room with us as well. So thank you. And with that, I'm going to bring us to a close. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other as we wrap up this election cycle. Thank you.